Here we go. Okay. Q3. So very strong quarter, 25% growth. What we're happy about is the growth of the transactional business, which is strategic for us, which is part of the recurring business revenues, which are all the time growing. Yes. We will summarize the recurring business by the end of the year, how it looked over in the whole 2021, but the recurring revenues are in proportion of our revenues increasing all the time, and their cost coverage is increasing in our business. We noticed a very nice quarter for ECR, electronic cash registers, and independent post-deployment part of the payment business, which is merchant business, and Q3 was excellent for them. Transaction processing for card payments was very good and recorded very good growth. MoneyGet independent ATM network also excellent and comparably better than last year in 2020, which was very, very bad for this business line. E-commerce continuously grows, but the growth is a bit flattened by the fact that big chunk of the business is in Turkey. We all know what is happening with Turkish lira, so much of the revenues are in Turkish lira. So the lira growth, which is over 20-25%, is flattened by the weakening currency. In dedicated solutions, the third business line, except for banking and payten, we see growing share of own solutions, which is our strategy. So third-party solutions are declining in this share, and from own solutions, it's live collaboration tool, including contact center. It's ASEE, BPM, and Fidelity, and ERP dedicated for the banking segment. And these recorded a very nice performance and growth. Yes. And also, last but not least, what Michał will be presenting later, we are very happy from continuous growth and increase in efficiency in dedicated solutions, because as mentioned over the past years, we see two rooms for future growth. One is organic and M&A in revenues, but also in efficiency, effectiveness of the business we do, especially in dedicated solutions where profitability used to be very low. It's growing, but we still see room for improvement over there. If we look at the deals that happened in the third quarter, again, I don't like to speak about one quarter because sometimes they fall into one quarter or other, and it's very static picture. But in banking, we've seen the channel solutions, so mostly digital edge and digital origination, mobile banking. Digital origination is for channel sales of financial banking products to the customers, and we see a lot of activities in this domain. In dedicated solutions, it were the products that we already mentioned, like live contact center, BPM, ABC, and Fidelity. All of these throughout the region were selling very well. And one third-party solution, Dynatrace, which is sold in SaaS, in cloud, and it sells very well for big customers in Turkey. In payment, we had in Q2 new logos that we gained in Nespay. In Q3, we mostly noticed some sales for Merchant Safe UniPay. It's a tokenization tool that we offer to bigger merchants, mostly in Turkey, but not only, and this was selling very nicely. Additionally, ATM and POS, we prolonged some outsourcing contracts and upsold some ATM and services for financial customers in the region. And now let's come to the results themselves. Michał, please.
Good afternoon. So Q3, as Piotr mentioned, strong quarter. Looking at top line, almost 13% growth year over year. And what is important and what is in line with our expectation and our goals is that this growth is mainly on own services and software. Looking at operational profit growth of 24% in euro and even more than 27% in Polish zloty, the different results from weakening of Polish zloty versus euro in last months. On level of EBITDA, we have slightly lower dynamics, 14% growth. This is mostly due to bigger base of EBITDA, which was almost 13 million in previous year. Below EBIT, on the net profit, we have a slightly lower increase, 20% year-over-year, and this is mainly because of a higher effective tax rate. The reason for this increase of tax rate are dividends. In Q3, we distributed some dividends from subsidiaries located outside EU. What generate taxes, and in previous year there were no distributions during Q3. Only to recall, non-IFRS results we are presenting below, they are not far from those official ones, but they represent figures adjusted for purely IFRS bookings, like depreciation of assets which were recognized as part of purchase price allocation, like software or client relations, as well as costs related with acquisitions which we closed during that period. Let's move now to more details. So results by business units. Very strong quarter for payment and dedicated solutions. Let me start with payment. Here we have increase of revenues by 1 million euro, and if we look at details, this increase is delivered by few lines. So we have increase in e-commerce. Here, what is worth to mention is that this increase is not what we used to have in Turkey, but it's more in other countries like Croatia or Romania. And in Turkey, we have increase, but in local currency. But due to the recent changes in Turkish lira valuation on euro amounts, it is pretty flat. Processing line, again, one more quarter with very nice growth year-over-year, 500,000. Only to recall you, this line where we are processing for banks transactions done on POS or ATMs. The third line with increase is POS line, and here we have growth, but with change of structure of revenues. So we have decline in this classical POS related services business on equipment deliveries, equipment sale, but we have a very nice growth on own services in independent POS network and electronic cash registers networks. So this topic which Piotr mentioned as one of highlights. In ATMs, we have slight decrease of revenues. This is due to lower revenues from hardware resales, so ATM deliveries, but it was partially compensated by the very good performance of independent ATM network under MoneyGet brand. Coming back to results, those revenues generated EBIT growth in 1.5 million euro. We've increased profitability from 16% to 21%, and this growth is mainly thanks to own services, so processing services, independent networks like ATMs, MoneyGet, and those for POSs and ECRs, and also some smaller increase in e-commerce. Second line with increase is dedicated solutions. Here we have a very big increase of revenues by more than 5 million euros. And what is good and what we are happy about is that this increase is mostly in this subline, which is related with sale of own software and own services. Biggest growths are in Serbia, Croatia, Spain, where we have this BPO line we were mentioning in previous quarters, and in Turkey. And growth of revenues generated almost €1 million growth of result in this line, and improvement of profitability from 8 to 11%. The third line, banking solutions. Here we have flat revenues year over year, but lower result. This is not something what worries us much. It's more related with stage on which there are realized projects and stage of contracting those projects. And we are optimists for next quarter to recover. Let's now have a look at results by geographies. So the biggest growth is Croatia, €1 million from 1.5 to 2.5. And this is generated mostly by payment business and independent networks. So ATMs and independent POS and ECR networks, followed by some smaller increase in e-commerce and dedicated solutions. Second region where we have nice growth is Iberia. So this is Spain, Portugal, and Andorra. The growth is generated mostly by Spain, and it is distributed by lines equally by payment and dedicated solutions lines. Other countries with smaller increases are Romania, where growth is mostly in banking, Serbia, where we have growth in processing and dedicated solutions, and Turkey, where the growth comes from dedicated solutions. Here we have growth in both in this owned services part, where we have projects for developing mobile applications, as well as in third-party solutions where we sell Dynatrace. Okay, so let's move to the year-to-date results. Picture pretty similar to the one for Q3. So revenues growth by 11%, also driven in big extent by own activities. On EBIT level, growth in euro 23% and almost 27% in Polish zloty. The same reasons for GAAP, but we have slightly different situation in what is happening below EBIT. So the difference is here mostly in financial activity. Result on financial activity in 2021 is almost €800,000 better than in previous year, and basically there are three main reasons to this increase. First is effect of FX gains on valuation of assets and liabilities. Second are interest incomes, mainly in Turkey, where we have high interest rates. And the third reason is effect on valuation of deferred payments for realized acquisitions. In 2020 we had negative effect, and this year we have positive, so net the difference contribute to net profit increase. On effective tax rate, it's slightly higher than previous year, 1.5%, and this is again due to dividends which we distributed during those 3 quarters. For non-IFRS figures, reasons are exactly the same as for Q3, so I will not repeat. And when we are looking at the results by segments, here biggest growth is in payment solutions. where revenues increased by 7.5 million euro and EBIT increased by 2.5 million. And the reasons for this growth are pretty similar to Q3, so processing and independent lines. But on top of this, we have also POS business were in part related to own services and like maintenance of terminals. We have pretty nice growth in both Spain and Serbia. Second line with biggest growth is banking solutions. Here we have increase of revenues by 4 million euro and result by 1.6 million. Just to recall this effect of projects which we were realizing in H1, which included delivery of licenses and implementation services, but also we are growing in maintenance revenue stream year over year. And last line, dedicated solutions, revenue increased by 6 million euro and operating profit by 1.2 million euro. And this growth is mostly in cost subline, so this which is delivering on services and software, and it results both from increased revenues and increased efficiency of business. What we can see at this right bottom chart, as you see here, in all lines we have increased profitability by 2% in each, so it's really something we can be happy about. Let's have a look at structure by revenues, by geographics. So here the biggest growth is Serbia. This is thanks to banking line and processing. The second biggest growth is in Iberia. Similar reasons as for Q3, so POS services, where we are maintaining POS networks, and BPO services, which are reported under dedicated solution line. Then we have Croatia, where we have increase in independent networks, ATM, POSes, and ECRs, followed by some smaller increase by dedicated solutions. In Turkey, increased by 0.8 million, and this is delivered mostly by dedicated solutions. The same lines as I mentioned for Q3 standalone. And Romania, around 500,000 increase of operating profit, and this is mostly by a third-party based subline of dedicated solutions, also delivery of third-party, and in smaller extent by banking. We have a slight decrease in Central Europe, mostly due to Czech Republic, but we hope it to be recovered. And a few words about liquidity and cash position. So we have 49 million cash and short-term investment as end of September. This is 5 million less than end of last year, but in meantime we managed to pay part of liabilities, lease liabilities and bank loans in amount around 4 million euros, and we also paid out dividend 11.5 million and settled some liabilities resulting from M&As. Partially earnouts from previous acquisitions, and partially those which we closed during 2021. Anyway, on net cash level, we are almost at the same level as end of last year, and on operational balance, it is even higher than previous year. And looking it from cash flow perspective, very good operating cash flow. This is just to recall last 12 months. Comparing to last 12 months as of end of Q2, it improved. So we generated more cash. Investments in capex, both this for projects, so outsourcing and independent networks or internal capex, it is on pretty similar level, but with some different distribution between categories. But our spendings on M&A, they increased comparing to 2020 quite a lot. Anyway, on total cash flow, we are better than in previous year, despite we are still investing and paying, servicing the debt. And our conversion of operational cash flow to EBITDA remains on levels which we had in Q1, Q2, so around 100%.
Okay, so now the outlook for the Q4 and the whole year. The backlog looks very strong. The dynamics of the backlog compared to last year is also excellent. So basically for the whole group, we have very positive. If you look at the split between ASE part and patent part on next slides, you will see slightly higher dynamics on the ASE, which means banking and dedicated solutions. But for Q4, it's already flattened because we had excellent Q1 in ASE. And in patent, it's traditionally around 8-10%, which is very good and also leaves optimism for how we will close the year. If we talk about traditional questions and additional comments we give for the next year, of course we want to continue the growth. We haven't finished the budgeting. We will of course comment the numbers and the outlook while publishing Q4 and annual results. So today it's too early to give any comments, but we are pretty optimistic about next year. Acquisitions are continuing. The policy of acquisitions is continuing. They are done by local companies, mostly with our support, and mostly in the e-commerce domain, in the transactional domain, and in Q3. And we have closed one company called IT Systemi in Croatia, operating in the region for document management, business process management solutions, pure own solutions company, based on which we want to expand our BPM expertise in the dedicated solutions where we see huge potential for growth in the region. Additionally, recently we have also in Croatia closed an e-commerce company, in payment gateway company offering services in e-commerce for merchants and connecting them to different banks for countries mostly in ex-Yugoslavia, which increases our market share in this domain, from which we are very happy. Yes. So this is the most recent development. If you have any questions, please let us know. We can you can chat them, or we can open the voice option also, so you can ask them directly speaking. Please feel free to ask any questions you wish. If there is no questions, then I'll just remind we are very open. The close period has ended, so you can contact us for calls, for meetings. We meet directly, and we will be more than happy to provide you with some feedbacks, answers, guidance, whatever we are allowed to speak about openly and share with others. We'll do so. But I see there is somebody willing to ask a question. Are you? I think we have to unmute Henrik Reidiger.
So I think there is a question about multiples applied for valuation of IT system.
Okay, the multiple in IT Systemi. This is a multiple of, from what I don't remember the exact multiple. It was, I think, around 6 times operating profit. Yes, roughly. Yes, but IT Systemi was a company which, with a funny structure, because we didn't want to postpone the acquisition, not to lose it, and we bought the company with a very big amount of cash, yes, that we want to use, yes. So the price was a bit higher because the company sits on a couple of million of euros of cash, which they didn't pay out, which we have acquired and we will use later on.
You can find this in our financial statement. It is disclosed, but it's more than 2 million euro
of cash in the company.
Yeah,
yes.
Yeah.